I am M. Meena Kumari, Assistant Professor, Department of ECE, working in Bharat Institute of Higher Education and Research. I am going to handle the subject electromagnetic waves, and the subject code is U18 PCEC 404. And in this video, we are going to discuss about the topic inductance. So first we will have introduction about inductance, and then in inductance we have self-inductance and mutual inductance. So we will see about what is self-inductance and what is the purpose of the Lenz's law and how we are using it in inductance. Then we will see about mutual inductance, and then we will see about how induction is evaluated for a solenoid and how induction has been evaluated for a toroid. So we will go with introduction. So inductance is nothing but a basic electrical circuit element, and it is called as L, and its symbol is L. So it is used as a storage element, and it stores the energy in the magnetic field. So the energy is stored in the magnetic field is in the form of the inductance. So the energy density is associated with the magnetic field. So capacitance is used for the electric field, and the inductance is used for the magnetic field. So the energy stored in the inductance is in the form of the magnetic field. So inductance is the property of the electric conductor by which the change in the current produces an electromotive force, or we call it as EMF. So it is to produce EMF. Inductance is one of the property that is in magnetic field. So here we have given few examples of the inductance. So this is the inductance of the toroid. So toroid will be a form of a structure. So this is the inductance which we use in our laboratory. So these are the types of the inductance. Next, Joseph Henry. So he is an American physicist who discovered inductance. So he lived during the year 1797 to 1878, and he is an American physicist, and he was the first president of the Academy of the Natural Sciences. And he improved the design of the electromagnet, and he also constructed one of the first motors too, and he discovered self-inductance, and in honor of his name we gave the unit in Henry as its unit of inductance. Next we will see about self-inductance. So what do you mean by self-inductance? Self-inductance is nothing but the rate of change of current produces the EMF in the coil. So consider this as the coil with n number of turns. So when there is a current is flowing inside the coil, so when the rate of the change of the current is, it will induces the magnetic flux, and this induces the EMF. So this is called as the self-inductance, or it is also called as the inductance. So if the current is steady, then the coil will act as an ordinary wire. If the current changes, then the magnetic field B will also changes. So if B changes, then the magnetic flux will also changes. So then there will be a EMF will be induced. So if the EMF is induced by the own coil means, then it is called as the self-inductance. Definition: the self-inductance of the circuit element, that is either it can be a coil, a wire, a resistor, or whatever it may be, and it is denoted as L is equal to phi B, that is the flux in the magnetic field divided by the current in the coil. And from this we have, that is phi B, that is flux is equal to, we can, from this equation we can write it as L into I. So that the change in flux, that the change in the magnetic flux is given by d phi by dt. So when the change in the magnetic flux will occur when there is a change in the current. And so the current I, we can change it as di by dt, since there is a change in the current. So the change in the magnetic flux is given as d phi by dt, which is equal to L into di by dt. According to the Faraday's law, we know that is EMF induced, that is E is equal to minus L into di by dt. So this minus sign opposes the change in the current, if it is often called as our black EMF. So the negative sign is due to the Lenz's law. So from now onwards, the inductance, which we also means as the self-inductance also. Next we will see about what is Lenz's law. So the generated EMF or the voltage opposes the rate of the change of the current. So let us find the equation for this inductance in terms of the magnetic flux. Let us find the equation for this inductance in terms of the magnetic flux. So let us consider a coil with a current I. Because of this flow of the current, the magnetic flux has been produced. So if the I is the time varying, then the flux is also time varying. So that produces the voltage, and it is given by d phi by dt, which is equal to di by dt. So according to the Faraday's law, we can write that induced voltage V is equal to minus n into d phi by dt, where n is the n number of turns. And this n number of turns into flux can join together, and that is n phi can be written as flux linkage, that we call it as psi. So we know that what is the induced voltage V is equal to minus L into di by dt. So by comparing the equation 1 and 2, we can get that L is equal to N into d phi by I. This d phi, that is flux linkage, can also be written as L is equal to psi by I. So this is the Lenz law. So in Lenz law, a negative sign will be there. So that negative sign is denotes that oppose in the magnetic change in the magnetic flux. So next we will see what is about mutual inductance. So mutual inductance is also the rate of the change of the current is produces the EMF by the nearby coil. That is, in self inductance, only one coil will be there, and that coil itself induces an EMF. But in mutual inductance, two coils will be there. So this will be the coil 1 and this will be the coil 2. So this mutual inductance will be occurred due to the action of transformer. So if the rate of the change of the current is produces the EMF by the other nearby coil, then it is called as the mutual inductance. So the two coils, that is coil 1 and 2, are arranged in such that the flux from one passes through the other. So we already know that the changing the current in the first coil changes the flux in the another coil, that is coil 2. So if there is a change in current in coil 1, that current will changes the flux in the coil 2. So an EMF will be induced in the coil 2. So this is called as the mutual inductance. So EMF has been induced, but the EMF has been induced by the change of the current in the from the coil 1. So this is called as the mutual inductance. So see here, let us, for this example, let us consider two coils with n number of turns. Consider this as the coil 1 and this as the coil 2. So here n1 is the coil in number of turns in the first coil, and n2 is the number of turns in the second coil. So let us see about the coil 1. So in coil 1, the number of turns is called as N1, and the current in the coil 1 is called as I1, and this I1 will produces a flux. That is magnetic flux, that is called as phi 1. So this magnetic flux, that is phi 1, will link with the coil 2. So we will generate a induced voltage, that is V. So that V is given as, because since the voltage has been generated in coil 2, we are writing it as V2. So V2 is equal to minus N2 into d phi 12. This 12 denotes, that is flux. It is by first coil and it has been generated in the second coil. So 12 denotes that due to coil 1, the flux has been generated in coil 2. So if it is 2, 1 means it denotes that because of coil 2, the flux has been generated in coil 1. Okay. So since the voltage has been generated in coil 2, that V2 voltage V2 is given as V2 is equal to minus N2 into d phi 12 divided by dt, and the current can be given as V2 into directly proportional to di by dt. So this we can write it as V2 is equal to minus m into di1 divided by dt. And next, by comparing the equation 3 and 4. So we can compare these two equations, that is minus m into di by dt, which is equal to minus n2 into d phi 12 divided by dt. So minus minus sign will get cancelled. So m into di1 dt will get cancelled. So remaining will be m into di1, which is equal to n2 into d phi 12. So here differentiation we can cancel. So m into I1 which is equal to n2 into phi 12. So m is equal to n2 into phi 12 divided by I1. So this gives the mutual inductance of the current I1 flowing in the coil 1. And similarly, if the current is flowing in the coil 2 and the voltage produced in coil 2 can be given by M is equal to N1 into 521 divided by I2. So this is the mutual inductance of the coil which has been generated from one coil through the other. So we can write M is equal to either from coil 1 or from coil 2. So M is equal to N1 into 521 divided by I2, or it can also written as N2 into 512 divided by I1. Here the coupling between two coils defines how well the flux linked to the other coil. So this we need a factor that is called as the coupling factor. So the coupling between two coils is dependent by the coefficient of the coupling and it is denoted as K. So the fraction of the total flux which links the other coil is called as the coefficient of coupling. So the coupling is given as K is equal to phi 12 divided by phi 1 which is equal to phi 21 divided by phi 2, where the coupling factor varies, that is the coefficient of the coupling values varies between 0 to 1. So if the K value is equal to 1 means it denotes that the coupling is 100% efficient. If K value is equal to 0 means then it denotes that there is no coupling between two coils. So this coupling factor plays a major role and it defines the coupling between two different coils. So if the value is equal to 1 then both the coils coupling factor is high. If the value is equal to 0 means then there is no coupling between the two coils. So this gives the definition about the coupling factor. Next, we will find what is the value of the K and then relationship between K and M. That is our coupling factor and then mutual inductance. As we know, we can write M is equal to N2 into phi 12 divided by I1, which is equal to N1 into phi 21 divided by I2. So let us multiply these two equations. So this can be M square. So M square is equal to N1 into phi 21 divided by I2. And here if we multiply it will be n2 into phi 12 divided by I1. If I multiply these two then it will be phi 1 phi 2 divided by phi 1 phi 2. So here n1 phi 1 divided by I1 and then n2 phi 2 divided by I2, and here we can separate this, that is phi 21 divided by phi 2 into phi 12 divided by phi 1. So here we can write it as L1. So this we can write it as L2. And this we can write it as K. That is our coupling factor. Coupling factor formula is phi 21 divided by phi 2 or phi 12 divided by phi 1. So this is one coupling factor and this for difference one coupling factor. So we will get K square. So the final equation we may obtain is M square is equal to K square into L1 into L2. So since it is in root, we can take square root. So it will be M is equal to K into root of L1 into L2. So this is the relationship between coupling factor and then mutual inductance. So the formula is M is equal to K into root of L1 into L2. Then we will see about inductance evaluation for a solenoid. So first, what is a solenoid? So this is the structure of a solenoid. Either it can be this side or it can be inverted. So solenoid, it is nothing but a spring type conductor and the coils of the number of the turns will not touch each other. So this is one coil and this is the second coil. This is the third coil. This is the fourth and this is the fifth one. So the number of turns will not touch each other. So each one turns out into a circle. So this is one turn circle. This forms one turn circle. So like us, if there are n number of turns, it can form n number of circles. Suppose if the current I will pass through all the turns. Turns means then the current will produce the magnetic field at the center of the circle. So this may be the axis. So the current will be produced in the center of the circle. So if it comes out and form a loop, then it will diverge. See, if a current is flowing in this means, if it comes out, it will get diverged and again it will go here and again it will meet out the original point. So this is how the current will be flown. So see here, if the number of circles are nearer, that is if the number of circles are nearer means, and the number of circles are larger and the space is also larger, then the magnetic field will be a straight line. See, consider this as the one turn. So one turn will form as a circle. Here the electric current will be flowing, and if once it enters this side, it will come out from this side. So once it come out, it will start to diverge, and again it will form like a loop. Okay, so this is the loop. So here we have depended with two circles. So between the two circles it will travel. So again from coming out of the second circle, again it will diverge and will again it will form enter into the cycle. So this forms a closed loop. So if there are n number of circles and if the circle size is larger and they are placed very nearer to means, then the current flow will be in a straight line, and once it comes out of the final loop, then it will again diverge. So the turns are closer here, and hence the current will be flowing in a straight line. So that is explained in this diagram. So the magnetic field along the axis of the solenoid, or it will be in the same direction and magnitude, and then the uniform magnetic field will be present. Otherwise, it will not be uniform. So if it is uniform magnetic field only, then only we can calculate the inductance. Otherwise, we cannot calculate the value of the inductance. So here, consider a solenoid with a turn density that is n, and current is I, and it is passing through it, through the loop. So that n number of the turns per unit length is given as capital N is equal to small n into L, where capital N is nothing but the total number of the lines in the solenoid, and n, small n, denotes the number of the turns per unit length, where small l gives the total length of the solenoid. See, let us consider an Amperian loop in the shape of the rectangle. So this is the Amperian loop in the shape of the rectangle. Here already we have a solenoid, in the solenoid where current I is flowing through it. And consider an, now we are going to consider an Ampere loop, and Ampere loop in a rectangular form, and that starts from P, Q, R, S. So this is an Ampere circle. And its axis, that one side of the rectangle, it will be followed on the axis of the solenoid itself. That is S and R side. So the direction of the B, that is the direction of the magnetic field, is among the x-axis. So the angle Q will be equal to 0. So now we have to find out what is the Ampere equation. So the Ampere's equation is, we know that that is closed line integral of B dot dl into cos theta, which is equal to mu naught into I. So this can be given as closed line integral of B vector dot dl is equal to closed surface. That is, since we have considered an Amperian loop, we can give the values of the edges of the Amperian loop, that is rectangular edges. P, Q, R, S into B dot dl into cos theta. So first, can we take segment wise? First we will consider the limit P to Q, and then from Q to R, then from R to S, and then from S to P. So first we need to consider each line segment. So first we will consider S to R, that is S to R into B vector into dl into cos 0. So here it is lies along the axis. So the theta is 0. And next RQ. So where is RQ? So this is RQ. RQ forms an right angle. So the theta will be right angle. So that is cos 90 degree. So the line is limit is R to Q. And then again Q to P. So see again Q to P, again it is parallel to SR. So what will be the angle? Angle theta will be 180 degree. So B vector into DL into cos 180. Next we will be having S to P. So again S to P is again a vertical line, so which forms a 90 degree, that is a right angle. So the next segment P to S into B vector into DL, which forms cos 90 degree. So already we know that cos 90 will be equal to 0. So the segment, that is from R to Q, there will not be any magnetic field. So since cos 90 will be equal to 0. Similarly, the segment S to T, again here cos 90, so this value will also be 0. What is the remaining left out? First term, that is line integral, that is S to R B vector dot dl into cos 0. And the third term is left out, that is line integral of Q to P B vector dot dl into cos 180. So in this term, since it is very away from the axis, that is C, that is PQ, which is very away from the axis, then the magnetic field is negligible. That is, since it is very away from the axis, the magnetic field will not be there. So the amount of the magnetic field will be very much negligible. So B will be equal to 0. So integral dl throughout the S2R will be there, which gives L. So we will have only one segment. So remaining all the other segments will become 0. So here since D is constant, we will take outside and S integral of S to R into dl. After integrating this, we will get L. So current passing through the loop, that is the total current is given as I is equal to N into L into I. So we know that line integral of d vector dot dl is equal to mu naught into I. So now equate these two equations. So we get the value d vector dot dl is dl. So substitute this and then mu naught instead of I we know that is the total current N L I. So substitute here. So L will get cancelled. So remaining will be V is equal to mu naught into N into I. So this is the magnetic field obtained while calculating using the solenoid. Next, we will see about inductance evaluation for the toroid. So, what is a toroid? So, toroid is also a structure, that is, it is also a spring, but we have to bend the toroid and we have to make it will form like a circle. So, let us consider a toroid with the turn density as n, that is, n number of turns will be there, and again current I will be flowing through it. So here in toroid we can calculate 3 points. So first point to calculate the magnetic field. So first point we will consider P, that is outside of the toroid, and next P point we will consider within the toroid, and next P point we will consider inside the toroid. See, this is the toroid structure. So it forms as a circle. So along the circle there is a n number of turns are there. Okay. So in this current I will be flowing through it. So here we are considering 3 points. This is the point P which is outside the toroid, and next this is the point P which is within the toroid, and this is the point P which is inside the toroid. So in these three positions we have to find out what is the magnetic field. So first we will calculate what is the magnetic field outside the point P which is lies outside the toroid. So B, that is the magnetic field at the point outside the toroid at distance r. So for the symmetric with the radius as r, draw a circle and form a loop L1. So this is the loop with the radius r from the side, from the center we have to form a circle with the radius r. So this forms a loop. So this loop we call it as L1. Now we have to draw a plane which cuts the loop perpendicularly. Then we have to draw a plane which cuts the loop perpendicularly. So with the loop we have both incoming current and then outgoing current. So see here there is an incoming current and there is an outgoing current. So while adding these two current, it will give 0. That is incoming current minus outgoing current will give I is equal to 0. So the net current will be 0. If there is no current means there is no movement of electrons. So if there is no movement of electrons means then the magnetic field will not be generated. So the magnetic field at the point outside the toroid will be equal to 0. So the P at outside the toroid, that is magnetic field B, will be equal to 0. Next we will consider the second point, that is P inside the toroid, this point P inside the toroid. For this we are going to calculate what is the magnetic field. So B is the magnetic field inside the toroid and this forms a loop L2. So again we have to draw a circle with the radius inside, and then again we have to cut it perpendicularly, and here we have to find out what is the magnetic field. So draw an Amperian loop passing through at P. So the current through the loop L2 is here also 0. So if there is no current passes through the loop, then the magnetic field will be equal to 0. So next we will consider loop L3. So this is the point P that is within the toroid. This is the third case. So here only we are going to calculate what is the magnetic field. So P with the toroid, that is within the toroid, that is loop 3. So here we have to consider an Amperian loop L3 through the point P, which is a concentric circle. So the magnetic field is along the Amperian loop and it is constant. where theta is equal to 0. So since this is a circle, we will have that is closed line integral of b vector dot dl is equal to b vector we take commonly outside because since it is constant, that is magnetic field is not varying. Since magnetic field is constant, take b as outside. So closed line integral of dl into cos theta. So this is the form of the circle. So we can write it as 2 pi r into b. So the current threading through the loop is given by, that is the total current I total is given by N into L into I, where L, this is the length, but here we are, since we are using circle, we will be using the circumference of the toroid since it is in the form of the circle. So L is equal to 2 pi R. So the total current will be given as N is N into 2 pi R into I. So as per the Ampere's law, we know that closed line integral of b vector dot dl is equal to mu naught into I total. So what is I total? We know it is N into 2 pi R into I. So substitute that value. Then for this we have find out that it is 2 pi R into d for a circle. So substitute that value for the Ampere law. So here instead of closed line integral of b vector dot dl, we have to substitute b into 2 pi into r. Next, instead of I total, we have to substitute 2 pi r into I. So 2 will get cancelled and then pi will get cancelled, r will get cancelled. So the remaining will be magnetic field B is equal to mu naught into N into I. So this will be similar to a solenoid also. So that's how we have calculated the evaluation of the inductance for the toroid. So as of now, we have discussed what is inductance, what is self-inductance, what is Lenz's law, what is mutual inductance, and then how to evaluate the inductance values for a solenoid and for toroid. Thank you.